Hello, my name is Spencer, and I am a special education student at Virginia Commonwealth University. And today I'm going to talk a bit about Universal Design for Transition. Universal Design for Transition, or UDT, is a framework that combines universal design for learning and transition planning. Universal Design for Learning is a very frequently used framework, and especially in special education, that is designed to make the curriculum more accessible for all students with and without disabilities, and to incorporate multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. Transition planning is how we as educators kind of prepare students for life after high school, by collecting information through formal and informal assessments in middle and high school to figure out their vision for the future and how we can prepare them in terms of self-determination and life skills, future education, and future employment. Um, so in terms of universal design for transition, there are four main components. One is self-determination, so a student's ability to voice their needs, maybe what services that they will require, maybe in college if they choose to go to college or at a job, um, and multiple means of assessment, which is the formal and informal assessments that teachers use to gather information and develop a better understanding of your student. Multiple life domains, so how this information is going to play into their lives in the future, whether it be in future education, future employment, basic living skills, how to take care of yourself, how to pay bills, how to navigate social life, and multiple resources and perspectives. This is an element of bringing in potential individuals into a school that could provide really useful information, maybe regarding employment. Um, so incorporating universal design for transition into an actual lesson and into general curriculum, whether it be in a general education classroom, an inclusive classroom, or even a self-contained classroom. You're going to want to think about how the information that you're providing in the curriculum is going to apply to real life situations, and situations that may occur in the future in a student's life, and how this information that you're providing can be made meaningful and applicable outside of the classroom. So to provide a couple of examples of that, perhaps students are learning about hurricanes and other natural disasters. You definitely think about incorporating into the lesson maybe how one would prepare for a hurricane or other natural disaster. Or learning about maybe chemistry or physics, it's a good idea to provide information about all of the different career fields that are available in the area of science, if that's something that interests a student. This is a very individualized approach, but it's also meant for the access of all students. So students with disabilities usually exiting high school will have a transition plan made for them by their IEP team, which is a set of goals that will help them prepare for life after high school. But this is largely based on the students' preferences, their vision for the future, what career they may want to go into, whether they want to seek further education. And it's really important to think about how you can, as an educator, whether you are a general education teacher, special education teacher, a co-teacher, that information into your day-to-day lessons. So for this class, the Universal Design for Learning and Transition class at VCU, we had an assignment to create a unit plan that incorporated universal design for transition with a specific set of students in mind. We were provided with case studies that had information about these different students with disabilities, with a wide range of strengths and weaknesses and areas of need, as well as a wide range of preferences and visions for the future. So for my lesson plan, I chose to do creating and presenting an oral presentation, which is a ninth grade English standard. And the ways that I found to incorporate these elements of UDT into my unit plan were thinking about self-determination. Students were able to choose the topic for their presentation depending on what they felt was important to them in the unit. In terms of multiple means of assessment, I incorporated some maybe differentiated instruction so that students were able to work independently as well as in pairs and in groups, just like you would be doing in higher education and in the workforce. I also incorporated a student created rubric, which is a great tool for encouraging self-monitoring and self-determination. And there were several different elements of the written and expressive elements both came into play in how these assignments would be assessed. In terms of multiple life domains, these skills that the students would be building by utilizing, a student created rubric, practicing with positive peer feedback, receiving and giving helpful feedback is definitely a huge, very useful skill in, in future employment as well as in life in general. So working with others, utilizing their research skills, finding important information, knowing how to organize it, knowing how to properly cite sources, and also public speaking, which isn't a part of day-to-day life for everybody, but it certainly can be if you choose to go to college or if you need to effectively communicate with your fellow employees, if you're leading a project, etc. And in terms of multiple resources and perspectives, I think it was largely focused on students learning from each other and collaborating for success. So since Universal Design for Transition isn't a widely known framework currently in the education world and even in the special education world, I think it's really important to expose our upcoming educators as well as current educators to this information because it can make a huge difference for students with and without disabilities. So in terms of some kind of in-service training module, I believe that it's really important to begin to expose this information to both general education and special education teachers, administrators, other school staff, so that they can use the framework, start to build these things into their lessons and think about how it will benefit their students in the future, especially at the high school level and even the middle school level. It's definitely an important skill to consider reworking lesson plans to incorporate these different elements. It doesn't have to be, completely altering a lesson, but just adapting it to include these really important skills and concepts, and also taking that information into creating future lesson plans and future assignments and projects, and bringing potential stakeholders into the classroom and exposing children to different ways that this information can be utilized and different careers that they can pursue and how they can carry this important information with them into the future. Um, and also recognizing how to utilize information that's collected through transition assessments. So like, especially if you have a student with a disability at the middle or high school level, they will be doing some formal and informal assessments to figure out what their vision for the future is. And this information is big, like very useful to, perhaps the student's parents and the guidance counselor and the IEP team. It's also important for all of the students' teachers to be aware of these things, because you can really take these strengths and preferences for the student and work it into your lessons to benefit them as much as you possibly can. Also, I would definitely recommend um, Universal Design for Transition, a roadmap for planning and instruction. This is currently the only official text that is published on the subject. It is easy to find and it is not expensive, and I highly recommend it for any educator at any level. Thank you for watching.